Welcome to Britain Fights Back, and thanks for tuning in. Now, you know me, I hold no prejudices toward anyone, but when a person not born in this country, and showing no loyalty to her people, tells me not to fly the flags of our nation, and tries to take my goddamn rights away, well, I need to speak up. Let's be clear. Everyone, in the UK, has the right to fly the St. George's, the Saltire, the Red Dragon or Union flag. It's a right written in law. What they don't have is the right to fly the flag of an unrecognized country, like Palestine, for example. The Union flag is one of the best-known national symbols in the world, and that's no surprise considering it's been around longer than the United States of America. So when a council demand our money, by way of council tax, but refuse to allow our nation's flag to be flown, quite obviously, something is very, very off. The latest council to jump on this anti-British, disrespectful bandwagon is the Mayor of London's boys, as he called them when they turned up with a lorry load of postal votes, from Tower Hamlets, East London, postal votes, by the way, that took him over the line to win his last election. The Tower Hamlet boys, who run the East London borough, are headed up by the thoroughly odious, electoral fraudster, Mayor Lutfur Rahman, from Bangladesh. Rahman was the leader of Tower Hamlets London Borough Council from 2008 to 2010 for the Labour Party, and was initially selected as that party's candidate for the 2010 mayoral election. After allegations of links to a fundamentalist group and of signing up ineligible voters for the selection process, he was removed as Labour's candidate and left the party to contest and win the election as an independent candidate. He was re-elected at the 2014 mayoral election as the candidate for Tower Hamlets, but the result of this election was declared null and void on the 23rd of April, 2015, when the election court officially reported Lutfur Rahman to be personally guilty of corrupt or illegal practices, or both, in other words electoral fraud under the Representation of the People Act, 1983. He was then removed from office with immediate effect, and was also personally debarred from standing for elected office until 2021. He was also struck off as a solicitor, his declared profession. By all accounts a very unsavory character. He went on to form a new party, called Aspire, and welcomed his mates into his new party. So I took a deep dive into his motley Aspire crew, running the council at Tower Hamlets. The very people that have allowed the Palestinian flag to be flown all over the borough, for months on end, but removed the Union flags on sight. The first man I chose to look into was this fine specimen. Councillor Suluk Ahmed, for no reason other than he stands as Speaker of the Council. He represents Spitalfields and Banglatown, obviously for the Aspire party. Banglatown, by the way, is the new name for the Brick Lane area of Whitechapel. The first thing I looked at was his register of interests, and we note he's a director of two companies. Woodsea Construction Limited, and Brickstone Investment Limited. So off to company's house I went. At this point it's worth noting he declared his directorship in these companies on the 26th of February, 2025, published online on the 3rd of March, 2025. And why is that important? Well, it's important because, on the 14th of January, his company, Woodsea Construction Limited, was dissolved, in other words, struck off. Perhaps he just forgot. But when an elected member of council forgets about such things, one needs to look at what else he may have forgotten. Out of the 7 recorded companies associated with this man, only 2 remain active, the rest have been dissolved. The 2 active are Brickstone Investment Limited, but if they're not quick, it looks like they'll be struck off too. Councillor Ahmed joined this company as a director on the 26th of March, 2015, but resigned on the 1st of April, 2015. He then rejoined again on the 16th of November, 2015 and remains an active director to date. On both occasions he gives his occupation as councillor. There are 8 other people active in this company, at present. The company gives its trade as buying and selling of own real estate, other letting and operating of own or leased real estate, and management of real estate, on a fee or contract basis. The other company, still active, but not with him, as he's since resigned, is East End Homes Limited, a social housing company in Tower Hamlets. When registered, As a director on the 3rd of February, 2015, he gave his occupation as building trade, unlike in other companies at that time where he registered as a councillor. He resigned just a few months later in May 2015. But surely when a company renting out or selling its own properties, and properties owned by others, also sits on a social housing company, temptation may flirt. Not saying it did, but stranger things have happened. In the 2015 to 2016 East End Homes Limited charity report, he's listed as a councillor. The charity number for East End Homes Limited is 110-7691, whereas the company's house number for the limited company is 04516155. This is not unusual. Numerous limited companies achieve charity status, but what is unusual is having a councillor on the board, who registers his directorship as building trade, and also has a property company. Oh well, perhaps he just forgot again. There are 23 councillors in Tower Hamlets serving under Aspire. Headed and kept in check by the Bangladeshi fraudster and struck-off solicitor. Although he still, to this day, gives his profession as lawyer, obviously he just forgot he'd been struck off. And so, the next time some anti-British councillor tells you to take down your flag, tell them it's legal, and you don't appreciate their interference in your rights. It'll be great to read your comments in the section below. So, let's get this conversation started. For now I'll just say, stay calm, stay safe, and we'll chat again soon.